Most people think success in 2026 will come from working harder. It won't. It will come from thinking differently, deciding faster, and building systems that make quitting impossible. Today, I'm going to show you how to become unstoppable, not emotionally, but structurally. Let me start with a truth most people don't like to hear. 2026 is not going to be your year by accident. It will either expose you or it will elevate you. And the difference won't be luck, talent, or connections. The difference will be decisions, unstoppable. People don't keep negotiating with themselves. They don't wake up every morning asking, do I feel like doing this today? They decide once, and then they build their life around that decision. When you decide daily, emotions are in control. When you decide once, identity is in control. In 2026, stop asking if you're going to win. Decide that winning is who you are and let everything else adjust. Here's the reality. Your bank account is a reflection of your belief system. You don't get paid for what you want. You get paid for what you become. If you see yourself as average, you'll earn average. If you see yourself as valuable, the market will agree. In 2026, don't chase money. Upgrade your identity. Ask better questions. Who do I need to become to earn this level? How does that person think? How does that person move? Income follows identity every single time. 3, master high-value skills, not busy work. Busy is the drug of the broke. Unstoppable people don't work harder. They work smarter on things that matter. High-income years come from high-value skills, communication, sales, leadership, problem-solving. If what you're doing can be replaced, automated, or ignored, it won't make you unstoppable. In 2026, stop renting your time. Start leveraging your value. You can't listen to broke voices and expect wealthy outcomes. What you watch, who you listen to, and what you tolerate are programming your future. Unstoppable people are ruthless with their inputs. They guard their mind like it's $1 million asset, because it is. In 2026, stop feeding distractions and start feeding direction. Your future is listening. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is mathematical. Unstoppable people don't wait to feel ready. They move because they said they would. Discipline compounds, feelings don't. In 2026, stop trusting your emotions. Trust your commitments. Do the work on the days you don't feel like it. That's where unstoppable is built. If your success depends on your mood, you'll stay inconsistent. But if your success depends on systems, you'll win even when you're tired, bored, or doubting. Systems create freedom. Structure creates momentum. In 2026, don't rely on willpower. Build routines that carry you when motivation disappears. Unstoppable isn't loud. It isn't flashy. It isn't emotional. Unstoppable is decided. And if you do these 6 things, not some of them, not when it's convenient, but consistently, 2026 won't just be another year. It will be the year people ask, what happened to you? And you'll know the answer. You decided. Most people think their biggest problem is lack of motivation. It's not. Their biggest problem is that they keep renegotiating with themselves. Every morning they wake up and reopen decisions that should have been settled years ago. Should I work today? Should I stay disciplined? Should I show up at my highest level? And every time you reopen a decision, you leak power. Decision fatigue is real, and it's silently destroying potential. Unstoppable people understand something most people miss. Power comes from finality. They don't decide daily what kind of person they're going to be. They decide once, and then they build their life around that decision. When a decision is final, behavior becomes automatic. There's no internal debate, no emotional tug of war, no waiting to feel ready. The action happens because the identity is already settled. When you decide daily, emotions are in control, and emotions are unreliable. Emotions change with sleep, stress, weather, opinions, and circumstances. But when you decide once, identity takes control. Identity doesn't negotiate. Identity executes. Think about it this way. You don't wake up every morning debating whether or not you're going to brush your teeth. Why? Because that decision was made a long time ago. It's who you are. That's the level unstoppable people operate on. They remove choice from the equation and replace it with commitment. Most people want flexibility. Unstoppable people want certainty. Flexibility feels comfortable, but it's expensive. Certainty feels restrictive, but it's powerful. The moment you eliminate unnecessary choices, you free up mental energy to focus on execution. That's why high performers simplify their lives. Fewer decisions, clear rules, non-negotiables. In 2026, the people who win won't be the ones with the most options. They'll be the ones with the strongest standards. Standards eliminate debate. Standards eliminate excuses. Standards eliminate inconsistency. When you decide once, you stop asking if you're going to do the work and start asking how well you're going to do it. You stop questioning your direction and start refining your strategy. You stop burning energy on doubt and start compounding momentum. This is where most people get uncomfortable, because deciding once means accepting responsibility. It means you can no longer blame mood, motivation, or circumstances. It means if the result doesn't show up, you know exactly where the problem is. Execution, not direction. And that's empowering, because once the decision is made, progress becomes inevitable. Unstoppable people don't wait for clarity. They create it through commitment. They don't need perfect conditions. They need a settled mind. A settled mind moves faster, recovers quicker, and stays consistent longer. If you want 2026 to be different, stop asking yourself emotional questions and start giving yourself permanent answers. Decide who you are. Decide what you tolerate. Decide what you no longer negotiate. Decide what winning looks like, and refuse to revisit the decision when it gets uncomfortable, because the moment you stop deciding daily, you start becoming unstoppable. Most people are chasing income, but income is never the real issue. Income is a symptom. It is the visible result of invisible beliefs. You don't earn what you want, you earn what you believe you are worth, and what you believe you are capable of handling. That's why two people can be in the same industry with the same tools and opportunities and end up with completely different results. The difference is not effort. The difference is identity. Your identity is the set of rules you subconsciously live by. It's how you see yourself when no one is watching. It's what you believe is normal for you. And whatever you believe is normal, you will work very hard to protect, even if it's limiting. If your identity says, this is as far as people like me go, your actions will always find a way to confirm that belief. Most people try to raise their income without raising their identity, and it creates internal conflict. They may get a temporary increase, but they won't be able to sustain it. They self-sabotage. They procrastinate. They make emotional decisions, not because they're lazy or undisciplined, but because their identity hasn't caught up with the level they're trying to reach. The thermostat is set too low. Unstoppable people understand that money responds to identity, not desire. Before the income changes, the self-image must change. Before the lifestyle changes, the standards must change. Before the results change, the internal story must change. Identity shows up in small, quiet ways. It shows up in what you tolerate, in how you speak about yourself, in the rooms you feel comfortable entering and the ones you avoid. It shows up in the risks you're willing to take and the responsibility you're willing to accept. Responsibility is the clearest signal of identity. The more capable you believe you are, the more responsibility you're willing to carry. Upgrading your identity doesn't mean pretending. It means aligning. It means asking better questions. Not how can I make more money, but who do I need to become to consistently produce this level of value? That question shifts your focus from outcomes to character, from shortcuts to skill, from luck to leverage. When your identity upgrades, your behavior changes automatically. You stop looking for permission. You stop shrinking to fit other people's comfort zones. You stop explaining your ambition to people who don't understand growth. You move differently because you see yourself differently. This is why personal development precedes professional breakthrough. Skills matter, but identity determines whether you use them fully. Knowledge matters, but identity determines whether you apply it consistently. Opportunity matters, but identity determines whether you step into it or talk yourself out of it. In 2026, the people who experience exponential growth won't just be doing new things. They'll be being someone new. Not a fake version, not a borrowed personality, but a more accurate version of who they're capable of becoming. They will raise their standards before they raise their expectations. They will correct their self-talk before they chase results. They will demand more from themselves before they demand more from the world. If you want your income to rise, stop asking for more and start becoming more. Change the way you see yourself, and the world will be forced to respond. Because income doesn't follow hustle, it follows identity. Most people are trying to fix their outcomes without ever examining their inputs. They want better results, higher performance, more confidence, more income, but they keep feeding their mind the same information, the same conversations, the same distractions. And then they're confused when nothing changes. That's like expecting a healthy body while eating junk every day. It doesn't work physically, and it doesn't work mentally. Your mind is not neutral. It is always being programmed. Every word you hear, every image you see, every conversation you tolerate is shaping the way you think. And the way you think determines the way you act. Action determines results. So if you don't like your outcomes, the fastest place to look is not effort, but exposure. Unstoppable people are extremely intentional about what they allow into their mind, not because they are fragile, but because they are strategic. They understand that focus is a finite resource. You don't get unlimited attention, unlimited energy, or unlimited clarity. So they guard those assets like they matter, because they do. Most people let anyone speak into their life. Friends with no vision, opinions with no evidence, noise with no value. They scroll through negativity, drama, comparison, and fear, then wonder why they feel anxious, distracted, and stuck. The input explains the output. What you consistently consume becomes your internal dialogue. If you consume doubt, your mind learns doubt. If you consume scarcity, your mind learns limitation. If you consume growth, discipline, and possibility, your mind starts looking for solutions instead of excuses. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. Feed it problems, and it finds problems. Feed it opportunities, and it finds opportunities. Unstoppable people don't wait until they feel strong to control their inputs. They control their inputs so they can stay strong. They are selective with conversations. They reduce exposure to people who constantly complain, criticize, or excuse mediocrity. Not because they think they're better, but because they know influence is powerful. You eventually start thinking like the people you listen to most. They are also intentional with information. Not all information is equal. Some information sharpens you. Some information dulls you. Constant news, endless social media, and random opinions may feel productive, but most of it creates mental clutter. Clutter slows decision-making. Clarity speeds it up. When you clean up your input, something interesting happens. Your confidence increases. Not because your circumstances magically change, but because your mind becomes clearer. Clear minds make better decisions. Better decisions compound into better outcomes. In 2026, the advantage won't belong to the most talented people. It will belong to the most focused people. Focus is not about doing more. It's about removing what doesn't matter, removing distractions, removing low-quality information, removing voices that pull you backward while pretending to be supportive. This doesn't mean you avoid reality. It means you choose perspective. You choose to expose yourself to ideas that stretch you instead of shrink you. You choose environments that challenge your standards instead of reinforcing your comfort zone. You choose mentors, books, conversations, and content that move you closer to who you're trying to become. Control your inputs long enough, and your thinking changes. When your thinking changes, your habits change. When your habits change, your results have no choice but to follow. This isn't motivation, it's mechanics. If you want different outcomes in 2026, stop asking for a breakthrough and start managing your exposure. Because once you control your inputs, you no longer have to chase results. They start chasing you. Most people are waiting to feel motivated before they act, and that's exactly why they stay stuck. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. It depends on mood, energy, inspiration, and circumstances. Some days it shows up, some days it doesn't. And if your progress depends on something that's unstable, your results will always be inconsistent. Unstoppable. People understand a different rule. Motivation is optional. Discipline is mandatory. Discipline is not about how you feel. It's about what you do despite how you feel. It is the ability to act without needing emotional permission. And that's why discipline is a weapon. It works when motivation disappears. It works when confidence drops. It works when the excitement is gone and all that's left is commitment. Motivation feels powerful in the beginning, but it's short term. Discipline feels uncomfortable in the beginning, but it compounds. Every disciplined action reinforces your identity. Every time you do what you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it, you teach your brain that you are reliable. Self-trust is built through discipline, not hype. Most people don't fail because they lack information. They fail because they lack follow-through. They know what to do, but they wait for the right mood, and the right mood rarely shows up on schedule. Discipline doesn't wait. Discipline moves first and lets feelings catch up later. Unstoppable. People don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, what did I commit to? That shift alone separates high performers from everyone else. Commitments create structure. Structure creates consistency. Consistency creates results. Discipline, also REM, oves decision fatigue. When something is non-negotiable, there's no debate. You don't waste mental energy arguing with yourself, you just execute. That simplicity is powerful. The less you negotiate with yourself, the more energy you have to win. Here's what most people don't realize. Discipline is freedom. The disciplined person controls their time, their habits, and their future. The undisciplined person is controlled by impulses, distractions, and circumstances. One feels restricted in the moment, but free long-term. The other feels free in the moment, but restricted long-term. In 2026, the people who win won't be the most motivated. They'll be the most disciplined. They'll show up when it's boring. They'll do the work when it's repetitive. They'll stay consistent when there's no applause, no recognition, and no immediate reward. That's where separation happens. Discipline turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results through repetition. Small disciplined actions, done daily, outperform big emotional bursts every time. Motivation spikes, discipline compounds, and compounding is what creates unstoppable momentum. When you use discipline as a weapon, excuses lose their power. You stop explaining, you stop justifying, you stop waiting, you move. And movement creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence creates acceleration. Stop relying on motivation to save you, it won't. Build discipline to carry you, because when discipline becomes your default, progress becomes inevitable. And once progress becomes inevitable, unstoppable is no longer a goal. It's your standard. Most people design their life around how they feel on good days. They assume energy will be high, focus will be sharp, and motivation will be available. But real life doesn't work that way. Some days you're tired, some days you're distracted, some days you doubt yourself. And if your success depends on those days going perfectly, you've already built a fragile future. Unstoppable people don't rely on mood. They rely on systems. A system is a set of repeatable actions that produces a predictable result. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't require inspiration. It just works. That's why systems are powerful. They reduce the need for willpower. They carry you forward when energy is low and confidence is quiet. Most people try to win through intensity. They push hard when they feel good and disappear when they don't. Systems eliminate that inconsistency. Instead of asking, how do I feel today? The system asks, what's next? That question alone keeps momentum alive. Bad days are inevitable. Missed sleep, unexpected problems, mental resistance. The difference is that unstoppable people plan for bad days in advance. They don't pretend those days won't come. They design structures that function even when performance drops to 50%. Because consistency at 50% beats intensity at 100% that only shows up occasionally. Systems simplify decision-making. When your routine is clear, you don't have to think about what to do. Thinking costs energy. Systems save it. That's why high performers rely on habits, schedules, checklists, and processes. Not because they lack creativity, but because they value reliability. Freedom doesn't come from having no structure. It comes from having the right structure. Structure removes chaos. Chaos creates stress. Stress drains energy. Systems reverse that cycle. They create order, and order creates momentum. When you build systems, progress stops being personal. It's no longer about how disciplined or motivated you are that day. It becomes mechanical. You show up, follow the process, and let the system do the heavy lifting. That's how you win even when you're off your game. Most people underestimate how much stress comes from inconsistency, not knowing when you'll work, what you'll focus on, or whether you'll follow through creates mental friction. Systems remove that friction. They create predictability. Predictability creates peace. Peace improves performance. In 2026, the people who scale their results won't be the ones grinding harder. They'll be the ones building smarter. They'll design mornings that start momentum automatically, workflows that reduce resistance, environments that make the right action easier than the wrong one. Systems also protect you from self-sabotage. When emotions spike, the system stays calm. When doubt shows up, the system keeps moving. When life gets chaotic, the system provides stability. That stability is what allows progress to compound over time. You don't need a perfect system. You need a functional one, something simple, repeatable, and aligned with your goals. Complexity kills consistency. Simplicity sustains it. Build systems that win on your worst days, and your best days will take care of themselves. Because when your success is system-driven instead of emotion-driven, quitting stops being an option. And when quitting is no longer an option, unstoppable becomes inevitable. As we move toward 2026, understand this clearly. Nothing we talked about today works in isolation. Decisions create direction. Identity creates capacity. Inputs shape thinking. Discipline creates consistency. Systems create momentum. Together, they create something most people never experience: inevitability. Becoming unstoppable is not about hype, luck, or a single breakthrough moment. It's about alignment. Alignment between who you decide to be, what you allow into your mind, how you act when you don't feel like it, and the structures you build to support your growth. When those pieces align, progress stops being optional. 2026 will not reward wishful thinking. It will reward clarity, commitment, and execution. It will expose habits, magnify standards, and amplify whatever systems you're currently running. The question is not whether change is coming, it's whether you're prepared to control it. So make the decision once. Upgrade your identity, guard your inputs, use discipline deliberately, build systems that carry you on your worst days. Do these consistently, and success stops being something you chase. It becomes something you expect. And when success becomes expected, confidence becomes calm, effort becomes focused, and growth becomes unstoppable. The future doesn't. It belongs to the most motivated. It belongs to the most prepared. Decide accordingly.